The U.S. has experienced an explosion of dual language learning schools in the past decade, so parents can now send their child to a Spanish, French, or Chinese immersion school with the hope that they'll have a multilingual child. But there's a different type of dual language learning happening in the United States. The majority of children learning a language other than English at home are Spanish speakers. For them, learning Spanish in addition to English is not always celebrated. The U.S. Census Bureau recently estimated that by 2060, the U.S. will have 111 million Hispanic people, or 27.5%. So that means the U.S. is going to be the second largest Spanish-speaking community in the world. In the United States, we have no official language. So why aren't there more multilingual schools? I am Stephanie De Anda, Associate Professor of Communication Disorders and Sciences in the College of Education at the University of Oregon. My research is focused on healthy language development in multilingual families. At various points in U.S. history, there have been efforts to classify us as an English-only country. And variations of this movement continue today. Anti-immigrant beliefs are absolutely part of this. The idea is that immigrants are bringing somehow different languages, and those anti-immigrant beliefs, sadly, those beliefs are that this is an English-only country when that's not the case. And because there's overlap between immigration and language, yes, these children do face those challenges. But this is starting to change as research shows the many benefits of multilingualism. In childhood, it appears to support cognitive flexibility, whereas in adulthood, it appears to protect from cognitive pathology in old age. It's also healthy to have a classroom that is diverse in all dimensions, I should say. So language is one of them. We know, for example, that if kids have a strong language background in their home language, they're more likely to learn the language of school, which often happens to be English. It turns out that when kids have teachers that talk like them, look like them, or share some of that cultural background, they're more successful. When we have a classroom environment or school environments that promote linguistic diversity, what we're saying is we see these kids, there's room for them here, they belong, and that in turn affects their academic success. So in addition to research on the benefits of multilingualism, we've also dispelled myths. For example, we know that bilingualism does not cause delays or disorders across any outcomes. We also know that languages are learned together. That is, bilinguals are not two monolinguals in one. In school, for example, bilinguals leverage their existing language, which helps support outcomes in both languages over time. Knowing a word in one language can help you learn it in the second. Let's take, for example, a couple of cognates. Consider that you already know the word car in English. When I introduce you to the word carro in Spanish, you're much more likely to learn it. Another example of a cognate is the word teléfono in Spanish. So if you were trying to learn teléfono and you already knew telephone in English, once again, that would make it easier for you to learn. There are many barriers that Spanish-speaking students face in becoming multilingual. In school, Spanish-speaking students enter an English-speaking kindergarten class and are often not adequately supported. They may struggle to socialize with English-speaking classmates. They often are unfairly tested in their cognitive language and literacy development, and their Spanish language is not leveraged and supported, meaning cross-language generalization to English is less robust. A second barrier is with practitioners. Practitioners, including pediatricians, teachers, and clinicians, are more likely to say, wait and see, when a Spanish-speaking student is showing signs of delayed language development. In addition, Spanish-speaking children are misdiagnosed more often than English-speaking students. There is both overdiagnosis and underdiagnosis, and what that means is that children who are learning a language other than English may be placed in a special education setting when in fact they do not qualify as a child with a disability, or they may actually have a disability, but because they're multilingual and there aren't enough appropriate assessments for them, practitioners may not actually see the disability and in fact, once again, put them in that wait and see column and defer services. An additional concern is that parents are often told by practitioners to stop speaking their home language when it is not English. The root of all of this is language discrimination, so the fact that children are not seeing themselves represented in classrooms or that they feel implicitly or explicitly discouraged to speak their home language. All of this is called language discrimination or linguicism, and it continues to exist because of unfair treatment that privileges those who speak specific types of English and is biased against other dialects and other languages. Communication is a human right, and all children should have access to all languages that help them fully participate in their home contexts. Educational systems should reflect their communities, and so when we have a classroom that doesn't reflect the children in that community, it makes it hard for those kids to engage. And environment. So that means that they might not see books that reflect what they look like or what they speak like, or frankly, since we're talking about Spanish, those books might not be accessible at all. So having Spanish-speaking students in our classroom means that other students as well will have a greater awareness of the Spanish language and the culture of Spanish speakers, and then Spanish speakers themselves get to be recognized and feel like they belong in the classroom environment. By removing language barriers, we are not just fostering inclusion, we are championing civil and human rights.